In this video, we will be adding control bones, which allow us to treat them as control levers to do quick little specific animations to our character, which makes it easier when animating to bring the character to life, opening the eyes, turning the feet, and so on. So this is our final for the Super Aware Kid, and enjoy the completion of the puppet. What I like to do when I create these kinds of control bones, we have to start in the bone layer and choose our main movement bone here. And then we're going to turn on the grid. And what I like to do here is, for the feet, I'm just going to go here and put a control bone that's 2 boxes high and just 1 point away extra from the main bone here. And I select the main bone again and add, and we add another one over here. So those will be for rotating each foot. Then we're going to come up to the hips area, and the next thing we would do is turning the hip. So we're going to grab B, and we're going to add a bone here that will rotate the hips, and we're going to add another one in each direction to complete a star here. We'll be using them for swiveling the hips, sitting up and down with the hips, bringing the hips down to the rotational point of the legs, and then we'll deal with clothing with the other 2 maybe. Then we're going to move up and we're going to do the shoulders, and we want to be approximately in the same area as the shoulders, but because of the mouth we're going to go just a little bit low, and we're going to add another set of star controls here. And then we need a set for the mouth, so we'll put another set here, and we will need 8 for the mouth total. So we're going to come over here and add 4 more. And actually, in most of my characters, I would add an additional 2 bones to the right of this for the phonetic mouth. But we're not going to worry about that with this character. Again, this character is going to be blurred, and so we will not, sorry, I got lost in my thoughts here. So we will not be adding the phonetic mouth. So now we need to add the ones for the eyes. So we're going to add. So here we want to go for the pupils left and right, for the pupil size, for eyelids up and down, and for pupil up and down. For the, we'll do both eyes with the 1 control. Normally I add a second set so I can do the eyes individually, but again, with this character being mostly fuzzed out, if I need to do an eye individually, I'll do it in animation, or we'll add the extra bones later. And then we're going to need a turn head and a tilt head up and down. And I think that's all we really need for this character. So all these bones, I'm going to grab them all with B, and we want them all to point parent to this main bone, like that. So now as we move the main bone with the character will keep these controls right next to the character. Alright, then we need to name each of these bones. As you can see, they're the only ones without names at the moment. And so this one is going to be the right foot. So I've got clothing, lower clothing there. So that should do it. And now we want to put constraints on these bones, and because I use the star formation, I use a bone constraint of 32 and minus 32. So here we put minus 32, oops, and tab and 32. Now that one worked. So now, when we go to manipulate each of these levers, they cannot run in each other and we don't get confused as which one is doing what. Actually, I don't think I'm going to do it to that extent with this character. I'm just going to get it so we can start using the character in some rudimentary animations. We need to get something out there about the super aware kid. You know, we're trying to teach kids to protect themselves from harm. And so let's go to the shoe 2 here, because I can see it's too dark, and we're going to get a lighter fill closer to the original here, and it didn't change. Oh, there it did. Okay, so that is a little too much the same. Let's make it a little darker. There we go. And then on the stroke, I think we just need to make it thicker. So let's see here. Not much too thicker. Right there's a 3. Let's go with a 2. Yeah, let's go with a 2 on the shoe. And let's go to shoe 1. And that should also have a 2 for that. Oh no, because the shoelaces get really thick. So let's go back to 0.5. So let's see here. Should I was thinking I might redo the thickness, but I can do that on an individual basis for each shoe here. Let's see. Here's our right shoe and here's our left shoe. And so now we're going to make the foot turn. So I want to get one shoe out of the way so it's not in my visual. When I move the shoe over, it's going to hit the other shoe. So let's go to the main bone layer. And then we're going to select this bone here, and we're going to create a new action for it. And so that is going to be the right foot control. First thing we want to do is bring it all the way to the minimal position, jump to 64 because I'm using 32 and minus 32. So we're going to jump to 64 for the maximum and 1 for the minimum. So 1 would equate to minus 32 and 64 would equate to 32. And so at 32 in the center, we need to reset everything once we start changing it. So first, let's turn on our Super Aware Kid. Let's make this image transparent so that we can see just a ghost of it. We need to bring our image of our Super Aware Kid on over. Get the shoe lined up for where it is going to be. Okay, so are we the right size? No. So we need to make the image as tall as our Super Aware Kid. So a little bit smaller. There we go. So now we need it to match that look of the shoe right there. So we still need it to pivot at the right place. And so now we're going to go to the main line. We're going to select the main bone here. And we're going to create a new action. That action is the right foot control. And the first thing we want to do is bring it down to its minimum. And that's where the foot will be turned all the way to the right here. Before we do that, let's go back to the main line. And when I first drew the shoe, I kept it as simple as possible, but since I'm going to be manipulating these points to match this layout here, I need to add more points. So I'm going to select the object, go to Scripts, Draw, Split Curve, and I'm going to put 3 points in between each point here. So there we go. Now I can manipulate that quite easily and move it out of the way. Then we can grab this, and I should probably include this one and this one as well. And so we're going to go to Scripts, Draw, Split Curve, and again 3 points between each of those points. So I didn't have to split the entire object. I can choose which points I add extra points to. So now we can put the vase back. And there we go. So now we've got what our shoe should look like. So now we can start preparing it for the control button. So we're going to go to the lowest position on the control button, and you can see that the bottom needs to morph to look like the bottom of the shoe here. So I think what I'll do, hit T on the keyboard, and I'm going to just start grabbing these points. Bring some of these toppings on it right up here. This. And just following the lines that the artist, Best Man In on Fiverr.com. That's where I found him. He is currently working on another project for us. We have the Braston family that is the basis of the main characters for our upcoming game, Choices. And in that game, there are a set of twins that are 4 years old. Their names are Solari and Talar. And they get into situations that we can use to help teach children how to avoid dangers in life. So there we go. We've got the basic base of the foot laid out there. Now we need to start bringing in the other points for the top of the shoe there. Let's match the current shoe there as much as we can. So the game Solari and Talar are Choices, which stars Solari and Talar. They have a family, of course. Their mother is named Anna Mila, and Best Man is currently working on her look. So we'll soon have her character to work on. And once he has completed Anna Mila, we will have him work on our little brother, or older brother for the twins, which his name is Rayodi. And then the shoe goes way back here, doesn't it? So we need to go up here. Well, let's leave this point here to play with. Bring this one up back there. And looks like right about there. So that shoe should come out about like that. should bring the trim all the way to the back. So there's our side view of our shoe, pretty much. Let's, oh, and we still need to do the tongue and the laces here. So you can see I'm not quite on the shoe yet, but getting there. So Ray Odie is 8 years old, and he gets into lots of mischief. But let's see here. Let's just move this on over like this and squash it a bit. And then we'll bring the laces over. So G to grab, and we're just going to grab all of that. And let's go ahead and take this point with us. Hit T, and now we can rotate these. And pick up the whole box and bring it up here. Alright, well, we have this point. Bring it on up. Like that. That's better. And drop that. And that. So, let's turn back the shoe. So, we want to come up here. And up here. Alright, there we go. There. Now we're at the smallest point, so we're going to go back to, well, let's go to 64. And then let's grab what it looks like at 0 or 1 and copy it and then paste it. And now we're going to grab everything and rotate it. And then move it into place based on where the heel would be. Should be about right there. Alright, and then we go back to 32, and now we select everything and reset. So G to grab everything and reset it back to what we were before. Got that. So now we go down to the shoe, and we go to position 48. Simply make this all look like the shoe that's here, as close as we can get to it. Drag that over there. Bring this down. That up. Change the angles. Move this out of the way for the moment. I can grab these points and place them easily. Alright, so let's change that curve down a bit. There we go. And these laces. And we'll just move them over here and rotate them a bit. Spread them out. Bring that lace down. And that's looking decent. So now we need to make the bottom part match. Set your points first, then worry about matching the curve exactly to what you want. Once you've got them close, then you can see how your angles are actually working together or not. And then hit C and adjust those curves. So now let's zoom out and take a look. Go to the base character. Turn off the Super Aware Kid. And let's move the lever along the timeline and see how the shoe rotates. So not too bad. It could use a little work still, but we're getting there. So right in here, so we simply need to bring this point here on up and over. So let's see how it that works. So now we need to go to the halfway point, which is 16. So let's turn on the picture of the Super Aware Kid, and we'll just move the image over. There we go. So I'm going to do the same thing for the other shoe, but I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me do that again. So we're going to exit out of here, and we're going to go to the Super Aware character. And now we're going to do an action for hips up and down. So We want down to be rotated all the way down, and 64 will be all the way up. And at all the way up, we're going to basically just move these two bones. So at the highest position, we would want them to be right there with the hips. So sitting down position would be proper. And then all the way down, we're going to go twice the distance down just to make like long leg stretching or whatever for comedy or cartoon effect. But that puts us where 32 should be reset back to normal. So reset, reset, reset. And we're done with that one. So now we can make the character drop down for sitting or jump up high. But the normal position is at rest. Alright, so we drop, get rid of that animation, go back to the construction layer, and we're going to choose the next one. And that one's clothing, we'll leave that alone for now. We're going to go to the hip twist now. So we create the action for that. Rotate it all the way to the left. Go to 64. Rotate it all the way to the right. Let's go to the base. Let's see. We want left shin and left thigh to be above the right. That's what I want. Then at 32, it should be the same. And then at 33, we now bring the left under the right. And it should stay that way all the way to 64. There we go. So now we've got our legs crossing over properly, one over the other. Now, we've set the position of the bones to be overlapping here, and because we haven't set anything in the middle, they're here as well. And let's grab this bone and this bone and reset, reset, reset. There we go. So now our hips should twist to the left. They're not twisting back into the right. So let's go ahead and do that here. Let's see, how close were we in this direction? Oh, almost the same spot. So let's go just a little bit more. There we go. And so now the legs can cross over each other however we like. So I'm thinking this thigh patch should be moving with it too, it looks like. So let's move the right thigh patch down below the left here. Then at 33, well, at 32 it should also be below. It is. Okay, so right thigh patch. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so at 33, this left thigh patch should come down to there. And then it should stay there through 64. There we go. So now our legs look correct as they overlap each other. And now we need to bring the action of the pelvis into play. So when we're here, let's go to our pelvis, and just grab it and T and holding Alt, shrink it in. That should work there. And it's 64. Same thing. Whoops. Let's grab it all. And then at 32, grab it all again and reset to our rest state. So now the hips and pelvis rotate together and it looks proper. So let's see. In the bone layer and select no bone and then select this bone, and yeah, that's lower clothing. I'll mess with that later maybe. Upper clothing, same thing, we don't need that. Torso stoop, so let's go ahead and do that. And we're gonna bring this down all the way and then go to 64. Move it all the way to the top. And this one's going to be easy. All we're going to do is grab the bones, hit B on the keyboard, then Shift, and grab these two bones in the body. And then T for transform bone, and we're just going to stretch them up a bit. So the character's going to stretch up, then bring it this way, and the character's going to scrunch down. Alright, and then at 32, we simply reset the bones. So reset, reset, and reset. And so now we've got our stoop bone where the character can stoop down and get up. So it doesn't change the arms. Alright. Then what do we got here is the mouth. And we do want to be able to have the character do some speaking. So let's go to each of these. This one is the jaw up and down. We're going to start at position 1 and drop the lever all the way down. We go to 64 and move the lever all the way up. And this is pretty simple. All we do is go to the face inside the head and to the skull. And for all the way up, we're just going to grab these bottom 3 points and hit T and Shift and drag them upward a bit. And then we're going to go into the mouth and grab the bottom teeth. So let's see here, mouth and lower teeth. And we're going to move those up to just behind the main teeth. And then we're going to drop down to the lowest position. And we're going to bring those teeth down about the same distance. And then we're going to bring the jaw, so go back to the skull, and they're still selected, so we just drag those down. So now we go to 32 and reset all those points to their original position, and we reset the teeth to their original position, and now we're done with jaw up and down. So we can test that out by going to the bone layer and grabbing the manipulate bone tool, and there we go, the jaw up and down. Alright, looks like they're chewing. Alright, so now we need to do the lips width. So this is how wide the lips can get on the character. This we go into the mouth and to the lips, and we're just going to grab with G, and we're going to grab the 2 side points but not the center one there. Hit T, and this is going to be our minimal, so all the way to the left and all the way low. Oops, we need hold Alt, and then that way both sides come in evenly together. So right there will be our maximum, and we go to 64 and stretch it out using Alt again. Grab and stretch them about as wide as we want to get, which would be about there. and we go back to 32 and reset to center. And then we got to make sure that we're on the bone layer, that we've rotated the bone, which I think I forgot to do. So we're going to go back to 1 and rotate all the way to the left, and then to 64 and rotate the lever all the way to the right. And now we go back to the main line and we make sure we're in the construction layer. Remove all animation there. And now we can manipulate the width of the mouth. And we can manipulate the jaw up and down. So we're going to go to the next one, which is a lips open. So we're going to create an action. Mouth open and close. So we will use down for closed and 64 and up for all the way open. Or should it be the other way around? Let's see. When we move it up, then the jaw and the lips come up. If we move it all the way down, then the lips and the jaw should be open. So let's do that. So all the way down will be open. So we go to the lips again, and when this time we're going to grab the center 2 points and hit T. And so at this point we want the mouth as open as it's going to be. So we hold Alt and we drag these points apart until we've got our maximum opening, and then we go to 64 and Alt, drag, and whoops. We got a little bit of weirdness going on here. Let's Control Z and start again. Zoom in a little bit and then Alt. And now I'm going to bring the lips just till they come completely closed. Right about there. So now we've got closed, and it looks like I am flipping over there. Oh, I flipped them upside down, so that's not going to work. Let's cancel that and try this again. Very carefully, just to come to close. So now, there we go. Mouth open and close. And at 32, we reset. It was very close already. So now we can go back to the Super Aware Kid. Whoops. The main line. And we can now manipulate the mouth open and close. Close, open, close, open, close. Open, open, close, close. So yeah, I think that'll work. Alright, and now we need to go smile and frown, although I don't think this is going to actually show through our fuzzing, but we'll try it. So we're going to go all the way to the left for our frown, then to 64, all the way to the right for our smile. Again, we go into the mouth and the lips, and again we're only going to work with the points on the side of the mouth. So we can grab one, hold shift, grab the other, hit T. And so this is going to be a great big smile. So we're going to bring that to an extreme point on the smile. Jump down to 1. And this is going to be an extreme frown. And so we make a frown. And at 32, we reset to center, or the rest state. So there we go. We've now done all the components for the mouth, and that will create any mouth we need to create, I'm pretty sure. There's really not a lot I can't do with this. Make the character shout or sing or ooh or ah or whistle. So that's what we can now do with this mouth. So next we're going to move on to the eyes. So we're going to go to the bone layer. We want to be in the construction layer. And we're going to choose the eyelid up and down. Create an action for that. So eyelid open and close is the way I've named it this time. So I need to come up with a standard naming convention so that I get them all the same on every character, but that comes as I get more experience. So we will get there eventually. So now we want the eyes opened all the way, so we need to go into each individual eye, and we're going to the sclera on each one. So this is going to be all the way open. So we grab the center points, hit T and Alt, and drag open, and let's just go right beyond the pupil there. I'm having trouble getting fine control here. Let's see, right there. Let's go to that for the max. Go to the sclera on the other eye. Grab those center points. Hit T, hold Alt. And again, this is just really sensitive for some reason. Let's zoom in closer. That gives us more control. And right there. It's a little too much. Let's close it down to right there. And then of course we're going to go to 1, and at 1 we want the eyes to be completely closed. Whoops. Again, if we zoom in we get more control. I don't know why it's so touchy that way. And in this case we're going to also grab these two here at the corner of the eye and bring those together so that the whole eye closes. Alright, and then the same thing on the sclera for the other eye. So let's zoom in so we get control. Drag them till they're closed. And grab these 2 points. Zoom in on them. And hold Alt and bring them together. Just like that. And then at 32, we want to grab everything and then just hit reset to our standard at rest state. So again, over here we're going to grab all these points and reset. So now we've got our eye opening and close. Next we're going to do the pupils size. So we'll go here, we'll create a new action for pupil size, and we're going to rotate all the way to the left for the smallest size, and 64, and rotate all the way to the right for the largest size. We go into the pupil, and actually we don't need to zoom in on this because I'm going to use this by the numbers. So we go to the pupil layer, and we've got scale here, and we're going to go 1.5 and 1.5, and that makes that pupil twice as big, but it moved it. Why did it move it? Because I'm not in the center of it. We need to set the origin to the center of the pupil. So we'll need to zoom in so we can get it just right. We want to be right in the center. Alright, and let's do that for the other pupil as well. Just going to set the origin so that we are crossing both of these lines, or these points, with our center point there. Now we grab the layer, and we're going to go 1.5 and 1.5, and then the other pupil 1.5, and 1.5. So now the pupils are twice as big, and then we're going to go down to 1, and then it's going to just be 0.5 on both. So there we go. Our pupils are getting larger and smaller, and I think that will show up a bit. And then at 32, we're just going to reset our scales back to standard on both parts. And we're done. Go back to the character layer, the bone layer, and back to the main line. And now we're going to do our pupils up and down. So first thing we do is drop it down to 0 or to 1, the minimum position. Move to 64 for the maximum position. Move the lever up. Then go to the iris and the pupil. Can we move them together? Probably not. Let's just go ahead and grab the pupil, hit T, and move it up till it's right there. Then we're going to grab the iris and bring it up till it's right there. And then do the same thing on the other one. So pupil, and grab it, and we're going to bring it up till it's just right in the center of the eyelid edge here. Then we're going to bring the iris up to the position where it's just about to touch those lines. And now we're going to go down to 1, and this will be where they go all the way down. So we drag, pull down. Again, we're hitting the edge of the pupil with the edge of the eye here. And I'm holding shift so it brings it down even without going side to side. Here we go. So we now go to 32, and they're all pretty much where they belong, but we still need to do a reset on each part to make sure that we've released it, because we're going to need to move them left and right. So let's go ahead and reset everything. And now we're going to go back to the main line, and we're going to create an action for pupils left and right. Rotate all the way to the left for position 1, and all the way to the right for position 64. And in case you weren't aware, this actually lets us have 64 positions for each of these actions. So let's grab the iris and move it on over. So hit T, holding shift, drag it to the side, and we want to go till we're about centering on the edge there. Same thing with the pupil. Bring it on over, and we just want to center the pupil right at the edge of the eye there. Same thing here. And pupil. There we go. And then we go all the way left, where the character's right. And we're going to move everything the other direction. And I'm holding shift, so I'm keeping these things straight. And finally this pupil. And then 32, we want to reset everything just so we're released for other actions that happen. And as you can see, we're slightly off. from being exactly centered. So there we go. Now our eyes are set up. We can go to the main character, and now we can test out everything on the eyes. So open and close, look right, look left, or his right, her left, up and down, and excited and scared. So all that's left to do now is the head tilt up and down and the head turn left and right. Now, flip it and place it. So just there. And this side. Just there. So now that we've got those parts placed, let's see how the head reacts. So other than them going way out beyond where they should, it's working all right. I'm thinking what I need to do is add 2 more bones. So let's do that. We go here, we're going to go here, and then add a bone. And I'm going to add a bone to that hair right there. And then up here to this bone, and add, and we'll add one right here for this bone. I didn't want that to be connected to the eyebrow though. So right there. So now, first thing to do is remove the strength of each of those bones so it doesn't affect anything else. And then we're going to bind this bone, this hair to this bone, and this piece of hair to this bone. You'd be in the bone layer. And we're going to get that bone and holding shift this bone and under constraint independent angle. So now I can tilt the head and that hair stays up where it belongs and stays closer to the head. So that works much better. Yeah, I think that should be fine. I think we can go in here to the back hair though. And we're going to duplicate these 2 originals again. And I'm going to bring them downward and inward. And then bind them to the opposite side. Let's see what that does. And now go back to the bone layer. Now that works good. We've got a lot of hair filling in the back coming across. And other than the hair in the front seeming to disconnect, we're doing good. I think if we're just careful in our animation, and since the character is going to be mostly blurred anyway, that should work. And you'll notice the hair goes behind the emblem because of the way I've created the emblem being above the body. So anything of the body goes behind the emblem. I'm ready now to go back and do the head turn. Or let's see here. Create a new action. Head twist. Alright, so we bring it all the way to the left. We're turning the head to the character's right, and all the way to the right for turning the character's head to the character's left. So we need to move into the face, and we just need to present this face as it will look at that point. And we've got the layers ready to go. So let's start with the eyes, and we're going to grab the rotate layer tool, which allows us to take the layer that holds the eyes and rotate them on the X and Y axes. So here we can rotate, we can do it manually by just wiggling things around, so you can see how we can make that eye look like it's tilting towards and away from us and turning away from us or towards us. So that's the purpose of this feature. So we're going to reset it, and then we're going to rotate this 25 degrees. Yeah, and then we're going to grab the layer, and holding shift, we're just going to move the eye over towards the ear. In fact, let's go all the way to touching the edge of the face. So now we need to do the same thing to the other eye. So we're going to grab its layer and rotate it 25 degrees. And then we're going to pick up the layer and move it as if it's rotating around the head. And then we need to move the nose, so we grab it and holding shift, move it across to be between. And we'll go a little bit over the other eye, like it's starting to occult the other eye there. So let's bring the right eye in a bit more. And let's move it up a bit. That makes it look more correct. And now we're going to do the mouth. And the same thing, we're going to grab its layer control and rotate that layer 25 degrees on the y-axis. And now we can pick the layer up and move it over. And we just need it to be center of the nose. But as you can see, we're getting a little bit of weirdness, distortion, because as it goes around it needs to rotate just a bit. And I think we need to do that with the eye here too. We're just going to rotate it a bit, because we want the face to look normal as much as possible. So now we're going to go to the skull, and rotating would bring the chin over. So we're going to grab this point here, bring that over, bring the chin out just a bit, and bring this part right there, and rotate that cheek out a bit so it looks like it's protruding away from the face. Gives us a little bit more rounding there. Let's bring that out to there. That looks good. Now the jaw would come down a bit as the skull would simply distort a bit. It wouldn't really move a whole lot. It would move a little. So there, we get the effect like it's a rounded head turning. And I think the jaw's coming down too far. So grab this point here and bring it to there. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that makes the jaw stand out a bit. I wish I was an artist. Let's see. Bring that out to there, maybe? Yeah, that looks decent. And finally, we need to bring the ear over. Well, not finally, but next we need to bring the ear over. Next, we need to bring the right ear over. So we grab its layer and holding shift, we move it on over. And then we're going to go to the bone layer, and we're going to move the eyebrows over. And in this case, I think we need to bring it down a bit, and then we're going to grab both of these bones. Let's see. And then shrink them just a bit, as if it's rotating around the head. There we go. And then we're going to bring the other eyebrows. On around, and let's just bring them down a bit as they do. Down and up, so rotating down but moving upward. So now we go to the hair behind, right hair, and we want that to be in front of the skull. So that fills in the hair there. And now when we rotate back, we want that hair to stay above the skull till about right there, I think. So yeah, and then from here onward, it's behind the skull. So that works. All right, and then we want the hair to move. So the back hair, let's see, move it over a little and scrunch it a little bit. And the hair in front, right here, same thing. We're just going to move it over a little, all of it, and rotate, or scrunch it up. Right there. And let's see how that goes. And then at 32, we've got to go in and reset everything so we can see how it actually is being affected. Front hair, back hair, all the bones, then the eyes for their position by layer needs to be reset. The nose needs to be reset. The other eye needs to be reset. And the mouth needs to be reset. And the ears need to be reset. Although, did I move them both? I can't remember. No, I didn't move the left one, but I probably should. So let's go back to like, yeah, see that left ear should be disappearing. So at 64, we're going to grab that left ear. And holding shift, we're just going to move it around behind the head. Then when it's back at 32, needs to be reset. Looks like you're good. So now we can rotate the head. Let's see, we've got the super aware kid. It's fairly close. The hair didn't come down in front of the ear here. Maybe that's why my character looks a little funky. Let's see, hair in front. What do we got here? We got this. So we could, well, it's just too much of it is controlled by a picture. I should probably reset it. So now we want this piece of hair to move. So bring this on over like this, and then back. So before it disappears, it should have moved back to here. There we go. Let's go ahead and turn off the Super Aware Kit because he's moving around there in the background. And let's test this. So at 32, it should be reset. There we go. All right, and we want the hair on the other side to, like the ear, disappear behind the head. And then back out when it's turned forward. So back to 32. And we want to reset, reset, and reset. So now it rotates the hair. Alright, so now we've got this hair that needs to be moving the other direction. So we're going to go to Super Aware Kid. We're going to grab a hold of this one bone here and move it over. So let's see how, oops, I wasn't on the right position. You can pick those up and move them over. It will combine everything. So now, alright, the only thing I don't like is this piece of hair coming out here. So let's pick this bone up and move this bone that way and move this bone that way. And now back to center. There we go. Now it looks like the hair is turning that direction. Oh, we didn't reset the skull. So we go back to skull and hit T. Just grab all those points and reset them. So now let's see what that looks like. Looks like the mouth should be going over just a little bit further. Let's clean this up a little here. That looks better. I'm going to make sure I'm not dropping anything lower than I should. It looks like we're good because this is the lowest point. So I think the ear needs to come over more here. The right ear. Gets layer up. Set the origin in the center of the ear. Now we can pick it up. Holding shift, we can move it to about right there. Let's see how that works. Oh yeah, that's much better. That makes it more like the character's head is moving in a circle there. So now what we want to do is duplicate that. So we're going to come to 64 and let's get rid of the bones. So we're going to just render it. So let's go ahead and zoom in, do it right. So we put the head in the center of our viewport and zoom in. And fine tune it and then render. There we go. And then we'll save it as a PNG and replace that face. Okay, and now we go to head and import that image of that face. There we go. Now we shrink that face to the right size, but we're in the timeline. I don't want to be in the timeline. I want to be at 0. There we go. So we want to reduce that face. And then move the head. Okay, so a little to the right and up and smaller. Get it as closely matched as we can. Alright, there we go. Now we need to reverse that the other direction and go back into head twist. And now we gotta move everything to match this face with the flip. So we start with each eye, which we've already established was 25 on the Y rotation, so we're going to go minus 25. And then the right eye, the same thing, minus 25. So the reason we're doing all of this is to create new cartoons, new videos, new programs, new everything to teach the young and vulnerable how to protect themselves from potential abusers, how to recognize the processes used by abusers to prepare one for further abuse or even the beginning of abuse. So if you'd like to help us change the paradigm of abuse awareness, visit https://dangeraware.org, and you can donate to us there, or you can visit us at patreon.com and Danger Aware, and Facebook at Danger Aware, and here, of course, at Danger Aware. And you can donate to help us change the paradigm of abuse awareness, to help the young and vulnerable learn the skills they need without actually having to go through the trauma, to basically just learn the right steps of calling out when people are preparing you for abuse. So think about helping us. We could also use story writers or animators who want to produce their own material and submit it to us to put on our website. Anything geared towards children or even elders, anybody actually, to prevent abuse. So if you've been through abuse and you think you know how to help people prevent it, please tell us. We are open to any input from anybody. So email us at info@dangeraware.org and tell us what you think we can do to make things better than they currently are. What we're doing could be better, I'm sure. So if you have a suggestion, please tell us. Anyway, so here we are. I'm setting the nose to be reversed when we turn the head this direction. So on the mouth, we want to do the same thing. We're going to grab its layer. We're going to rotate the layer on the y-axis by -25. Looks like I've already done that. We're going to pick its layer up and move it on over. But I'm not seeing it on my face here. There it is. Okay. So now we can make the mouth match that mouth. And just shrink it up a little bit. And the ears. So on the right ear, we want that behind the skull, and the left ear in front of the skull. And now we're going to bring the left ear on over. And then the right ear pretty much just disappears behind the head. And then the skull. And we need to bring this out. there. And bring this into there. And let's curve it out a little here at the cheek. Yeah, get a better position on that one. So there we go. Alright, so now we need to do the hair. So we've got this hair stays behind the head, but it should move over. So we've got the eyes here. There we go. The right eye. Okay, and the mouth. Looks like we're fairly good. Needs to be a little tilted there. So there we have the mouth, and then the ear. Looks like this ear is a little bit different size than the other one, so that's good. Then the skull. Just want to make sure that I've got everything proper here. Let me see, this comes up here. That. Let's put a little sharp curve here. And bring this up. So there we go. And the nose. And the eyebrows. So the eyebrows are done by the bones. So we need to bring these bones over here. And then we're going to shrink this one a little. And shrink this one a little. And then bring these on over to here. Bring that down just a bit. Bring that down and that back up. Yeah. And we'll make it a little longer. There we go. So now, when we turn off the background picture, right here, oh, we need the hair. So the hair, where is that? All right, let's get rid of this. When I deleted the picture, it took me out of the head twist. So, and looks like what I did was brought everything down on the mouth and the chin. That's too low. Should not go below the pink line there. So let's G to grab all this, and T, and move it up. the mouth back up. Alright, and now we need to bring this hair behind on the left to be in front of the skull. And we'll shrink it in just a bit and move it over right there. And then as it goes back, we still want it to be over there, not quite that far out. There we go. And at 32 we're going to reset, and it needs to be behind the skull and the ear until right there. So right here we want it there. So right here we want it in front. Well, behind actually, there. So let's see how that works out. It jumps over a little soon here. So let's shrink the thickness and move it over. And now see how that goes. Well, we still get one cell. Alright, so now when the hair moves this way, we're going to want to have this lower hair react a little bit. Let's see. And over here, come up with it. Actually, that should be going down. So alright, and let's do a little bit with the front hair. So we just pick this up, and whoops, got to be on the bone layer. There we go. I think that'll work. It's not perfect, but it's functional. So we need to make sure that we've released everything back to their static state at this point in the center. So we choose all the bones, reset each of them, and choose this layer and reset it. What else have we moved around? The eyes. Let's reset their positions. And angle. Looks like that was fine. This one's fine. everything's looking good there. So let's go back to the main line and the bone layer. And now we can rotate the head. And finally, we need to create an action for the head tilt up and down. So we're going to bring the lever down and jump to 64. Bring it up. And now we do all the same things we did for back and forth for up and down. So now we need everything up. So let's start with the front hair here, and we're just going to shrink the layer like that. Let's bring everything up a bit like that. Then we get the head. Doing one at a time, so we're going to rotate the eye angle, and now we're going to do 25 on the X. Doesn't make a lot of difference, but it's what we want to look for. And then we're going to do I'm going to move them up by their layer, so as if the head is tilting upward. Nose up, and as we bring the nose up, we're going to shrink it just a little bit, not much, and bring the mouth up, and I'm going to rotate it as well. And we want to drop the hair behind downward. So we'll do that with the bones on that part. So then we're going to bring the ears upward. So we grab the layer and holding shift, we move it up just a bit. Doesn't need to move much. Well, as much as the eyes moved, so we're close to it. And let's tilt the entire head back like that. And let's see what that does by resetting everything at 32. And the ears. And the entire head. Did that? Is that where we started? Yeah. So let's test that out. Oh, the eyebrows. Forgot the eyebrows. So let's go to the bone layer. And we're going to just pick up the eyebrows and move them up. Oh, we do it this way. And hair behind. Oh yeah, was going to do that with the bones. So we use the bones here. Drop that down and drop that down, drop that down, drop that down, drop that down, and drop that down. So now we go back to 32, and we want to grab all those bones and simply reset them back to the rest state. Alright, and so now, there we go, the head is tilting up and down. Now we're going to come on over to here, and we're just going to do everything in reverse and the other direction. So let's drop these eyebrows down to about there. And as the hair in the front comes up, or goes that down, the hair in the back goes up. Alright, and now we need to bring the eyes down. Bring the nose down. And again, we're going to shorten it up a little because it's rotating away from us. We're going to drop the mouth down. And then we're going to tilt the head forward. And pick it up and bring it down just a little. And the hair with it. So the hair in front. Just gonna drag that all down just a bit. So now, let's test that all out. There we go. We've got a rotating head. The hair doesn't move as much as it probably should. Let's bring the hair down a little bit more. And actually that exposes the hair behind in the back a little. And we want to reset the hair here. So now, there we go. So it looks like it could go up just a little bit more. There. Now it's looking like the head is tilting towards and away from us from the back and the front. So there is the finished Super Aware Kid. I'm now ready to start animating the character in a scene of some kind. And so that's the next step. Let's go back to the Super Aware Kid here. And the bone layer. And then manipulate bones, and we just check everything out real quick. So, A, he can wiggle his fingers. She, he, it could be either. We can tilt the head, we can manipulate the eyes, we can manipulate the head up and down, we can manipulate the head turning. Not perfect, but it's functional. So he's better at directly in the middle. We still got a little bit of hair issue there, but let's see what else. Okay, we can move the eyes around. Now let's go back into the body. And we're going to add that blur radius back. I think we were at 3.5 or 4. Let's see what this looks like. There we go. It gives it a little funky look, but I think that's just because of the hair there. Let's straighten the head out. Got to be in the bone layer. Yeah, so that'll work. We can see the character's face enough to say, okay, they're looking this way, they're looking that way, but we couldn't say, well, that's exactly that particular person. So, I don't know, maybe a little more blur. Let's go 3.5. Oh, wrong one. I want the body. So we go 3.5. Apply. There we go. I think that works perfect. So now we can go in and start manipulating the character to do things. So thank you for watching. I hope you've learned something. I hope you've picked up some tricks or techniques that you may not have thought of or tried before that can help you with your animations. If you'd like to build an animation for Danger Aware so that we could put it on our website, anything to help prevention of abuse or educating against being groomed for abuse, anything like that, we will put it on our site. So if you are an animator and you'd like your materials published on a site that might get a little bit more views eventually, give us a try. Send us something and we'll see what we can do with it. So thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day and see you later.
Super aware, we can all be super aware. Calling out dangers both here and there, knowing that others surely will care. Anyone can be super aware, knowing of the things both here and there. Calling out the dangers that are so wrong. Question all the actions that are too strong. Super aware, we can all be super aware. Calling out dangers both here and there, knowing that others surely will care. When one invades my own personal space, I put up my hand and say, get out of my face. I have the right to protect myself. I will tell others when I need some help. Super aware, we can all be super aware. Calling out dangers both here and there, knowing that others surely will care. I will be aware, super aware, when I watch for dangers everywhere. I call out the things that would cause harm. I stay on my guard and stand a big alarm. Super aware, we can all be super aware. Calling out dangers both here and there, knowing that others surely will care. Super aware, we can all be super aware, super aware.